intro. So hello and welcome everyone to American Family Insurance DreamBank, where we believe in the transformative power of your dreams. I'm Madeline, and I'm thrilled to have you with us today. For those of you that are familiar with DreamBank, welcome back. And for those of you that this is your first time joining us, welcome. Here at American Family Insurance, we believe communities are stronger and the future is brighter when people are actively pursuing their dreams. That's why we created DreamBank, an inspirational digital destination and community destination dedicated to dreamers everywhere. From our daily event series to immersive signature programs, there's something for every dreamer. Our always free offerings are designed to help you celebrate your dream journey, overcome obstacles, and stay motivated. Now, I'd like to introduce you to today's speaker. Brittany Meoska is a wellness expert with a rich background in psychology, counseling, coaching, fitness, and nutrition. With over 10 years of experience as a high school counselor, she excels at simplifying mental health topics, offering tools for resiliency, self-awareness, stress management, and emotional intelligence. All right, Brittany, I am going to hand it off to you.
Wonderful. Thanks so much for that intro, Maddie. And thank you to all of you who are spending the next half hour with me. The fact that so many people registered for this it truly felt good, not just that you signed up for my event, but just to know that this is something we are all in together. We are all wanting to learn, how do we manage all of the things that we are juggling every day? So let's learn how to make some time and space for our dreams. Now, adulthood is saying, but after this week, things will slow down a bit, over and over until you die. I just want to know, drop in the chat if this is at all something that you've been guilty of saying. I was preparing for this for a while and I had this. Yes, it is, right? Just yesterday, these words came out of my mouth. I said, well, once I'm done with DreamBank, then I'm going to have more time. We're kidding ourselves. We are. It's not true. Like, can we all just agree that adulthood, it is just kind of busy and we need to just learn how to still prioritize the things that matter to us. So we're all just like busy, right? And we are just moving, getting all these things done. We have all of these responsibilities, but being busy is not the same thing as being productive. Actually taking steps that are intentional and meaningful and purposeful and working toward our goals and toward creating the life that we want. So today we're really talking about how do we get off that hamster wheel? I love this quote. How we spend our days is, of course, how we spend our lives. So let's create some time and space for things that actually matter. This is where the urgent and important matrix can really help us. So if you are busy, but you feel like you aren't making progress on your long-term goals, so if any of these resonate for you, drop in the chat, just like, yeah, that's me, this. I've had days and weeks even where I have accomplished so many things, or so I felt like, and really then when I reflected on it, it was like, geez, yes, I was busy, I was getting all this stuff done. And for what? Where did it get me to? If you feel like you're putting out fires all day rather than focusing on tasks that you truly want to complete, maybe you're putting the things that are important on the back burner again. If you tend to suffer from procrastination, this can be a super helpful tool that just brings some awareness to that. If you struggle to say no when you're asked to do something, if you have a hard time delegating tasks or even asking for help sometimes, or if you just feel overwhelmed, stressed, and burned out just from all of the day to day, this is where this can really come in handy. So we need to differentiate between urgent and important. And this is truly the hard part. This is like where we all have trouble because all of these things feel important. Everything that comes across our desk, the text messages, the emails, just whatever shows up, it all feels important and urgent. So let's differentiate. Let's get clear on that. Urgent things are time sensitive and they demand our attention now. And these are the types of things that if we don't actually tackle now, there'll be a consequence right away. Something that is an undesired outcome. Typically, these things happen because of someone else's problem or request. So the example of your kid at 8 p.m. saying, oh, I forgot to tell you I need 2 dozen cupcakes by tomorrow morning. Okay, that whole saying, your procrastination should not become my emergency. But so often that can happen. Or it's caused by our own procrastination. Maybe we know that there's something that we could be working on, maybe a project, presentation, whatever it is, but the deadline's out there a ways. So we keep prioritizing the things that are urgent in the moment. And then all of a sudden we procrastinated long enough and that deadline is right there. And so now it's urgent. Now we got to get working at it. We tend to give our attention to urgent tasks at the expense of important tasks. It's the latest and loudest, like anything that's coming across our desk, whatever that is, that's where we get, it's like those bells and whistles, and that's what we're trying to tackle. This becomes a serious problem when we are only dealing with the urgent things in our lives and not giving adequate time to the things that are truly important. And not all urgent tasks are also important. If you're guilty of this, let me know. I'm just going to get gas in the morning is one of the worst decisions you make as an adult. So there can be things that are not urgent that all of a sudden become urgent if you're not paying attention. Now let's talk about important things. So the things that are truly important in our lives, these are they support our progress toward long-term goals, toward our mission, toward our values. What's important? Totally subjective. It just depends on you. You are the only person who can truly determine what's important to you. These things are typically slower. So you do them, but there's not always an immediate result. And that is what makes them so easy to neglect over and over again. We can put them on the back burner because there's not an immediate consequence. But if we put them off for too long, they can become urgent. The saying, if you do not make time for your wellness, you will be forced to make time for your illness. I think of this holistically. Certainly it could be our health. It could be our mental health. I mean, think if you are just not prioritizing stress management, there's going to come a day when your body is going to say, hey, I can't do this anymore. And that's when that burnout strikes. So here are some examples of tasks that are aligned with long-term goals, values, and happiness. And these, again, are things that truly we know matter, but to set the time aside and keep that time set aside, it's easy to just not do that. So reflecting on life, maybe journaling, maybe talking with a therapist or a coach, getting really clear on what's going well, what are the challenges, what are my opportunities for growth, and then setting short and long-term goals that you don't just give up on, right? Creating the plan, taking action to reach those goals. Exercising and health-related tasks can get put on the back burner pretty easily. Setting up health appointments. Is your mammogram something that you need to get scheduled? Do you need to get to the dentist? Do you need, whatever those things are, those can be easy to put on the back burner. Financial planning for the future. I have multiple clients who this is something they really are wanting to prioritize, but it feels a little bit scary sometimes when we don't maybe feel confident with a topic. So to get that scheduled and to start working with a financial planner, it's easy to put it on the back burner because it's a ways out there yet. But eventually that day will come when, boy, we would have wanted all this time on our side, right? Learning new skills, maybe taking another class, learning something professionally that could help us up level, or personally, spending time with friends and family. Making memories with your kids. I added this one on here because this happened to me last summer, guilty. Planning the vacation. I did not do this. My husband and I were like, yeah, let's go to Niagara Falls. Great. We were going to do that all summer. We were like, yeah, we got to set that week aside. We got to get it planned. We did not plan it. It never happened. So you better believe we already have Niagara planned. I learned my lesson. That's something that's important to me. And it was so easy to just keep putting on the back burner, never prioritizing it, because we're just constantly doing what feels so urgent. And this is a real thing. It's called the urgency trap. This is what humans do. So it's not something to beat ourselves up about. It's just that we always take on new urgencies in the moment. And then those important tasks get put back on the back burner. We're constantly busy spinning our wheels, doing all these things without really making meaningful progress toward our goals, toward the life that we want to create. And then we feel stressed and overrun with never enough time for all of the important things. Dwight Eisenhower said, "Who can define for us with accuracy the difference between the long and short term? Especially whenever our affairs seem to be in crisis, we are almost compelled to give our first attention to the urgent present rather than to the important future." I believe that knowledge is power, and knowing that this is something that we have going on, this urgency trap, that creates that awareness, right? We're aware this is something we default to. So then we can choose how we want to respond more intentionally. This is where the Eisenhower Matrix really comes into play. So Eisenhower was known as a pretty productive and effective president. And it was said that he used something like this, urgent and important matrix. And then Stephen Covey actually got it out to the masses in his book, 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And he said, most of us spend too much time on what is urgent and not enough time on what is important. So I'm going to talk us through 2 ways to use this. First, the proactive way, and then the reactive way. So go ahead and draw this out for yourself. Draw those 4 squares, and you can take notes in them. I'm going to walk you through step by step how to decide what goes into which boxes. So you're doing not important and important, urgent, not urgent. So in our important and urgent box in that quadrant, these are things that we have to do first. These are crises with due dates. It needs to happen now. It could be unexpected problems. You know, you're driving down the road and your tire blows out. Okay, that's an urgent thing. Got to take care of it. It's important. You need your car. So you got to do it right away. It could be from an external source, like your kid asking for those cupcakes, right? Could be your own procrastination. When we are operating here, when it's just go, 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 spinning our wheels, so busy, everything is due now, this is when we feel stressed. It's when we feel more burned out. And our days just generally feel like they're out of our own control. The way to get out of here is to prioritize, plan, and delegate, which we're going to talk all about. So the important and not urgent quadrant, this is where we want to spend more of our time. This is where we also typically do not spend a lot of time. This is our schedule it quadrant. And this is where real intention comes into play. We need to diligently schedule the things that are important and make it be a thing that we cannot cancel on ourselves. What I have really come to know is that we are so much more willing to disappoint ourselves than we are to disappoint others. If you agree with that, if you can kind of notice that, go ahead and just let me know. Like, we are more willing to put things on the back burner for us to make sure that other people's needs are met. It takes true intention, and it also takes giving yourself permission to really recognize these things are important, and I'm worthy of scheduling these things in. And I'm also worthy of not canceling on myself to get other things done for other people. This is time well spent. These are those big picture items. These are the things that help you achieve your goals. There's not going to be those same pressing deadlines, which again is kind of the problem because it's easier to neglect them. It's easier to keep pushing them down the road. This is where growth lives. This is where opportunity lives. And when we're spending more time in this quadrant, we tend to feel calmer. We tend to feel so much more in control. And also, when we spend more time in this quadrant, we're able to prevent spending so much time in that first quadrant where everything's urgent, everything's important. It requires discipline to give your attention to things that are important but not urgent. And we tend to put these things off until later, always later. It's very Cats in the Cradle and the Silver Spoon. If you don't know that song, look it up later and you'll totally get that reference. Then we have the not important and urgent box. When I was first learning this, and I was learning that this is the delegate it box, I kind of was like, oh, okay, yeah. Who am I going to delegate anything to? So bear with me, okay? So I'm a solopreneur. For me, it's like, who am I delegating stuff to? This box is your game changer. All of us have so much more creativity and resourceful uses of delegation than we are fully recognizing. So this is the quadrant of deception. This is the busy work that it can feel really productive, like you're checking all these things off of your to-do list, and you're led to think it's important even. So there's two ways we can feel when we spend a lot of time in here. We can feel productive, or if we recognize that the things that we are working on aren't really that important, we can feel stuck and frustrated and stressed out. The way to identify if this is something that's truly important is to ask yourself, does this require my expertise? That is the game-changing question. Does this require my expertise? So for the creation of this presentation, that requires my expertise. I can't just hand that off to anyone. I need to do it, right? But the other day I was in my kid's bathroom. I have a 6 and an 8-year-old, and I was scrubbing toothpaste off of the sink. For any of you with kids out there, please tell me I'm not alone. The amount of toothpaste spray on the mirror and the clumps in the sink, it's incredible. I was like, what is this? And I'm wasting my time doing it. And it occurred to me, hey, this is a delegated, girl. This does not require my expertise. Am I the best cleaner in my house? 100%. Yes. But it doesn't require my expertise. It does require my expectations to be lowered a little bit. Will I do it better than them? Yeah, sure will. But does it truly matter? No. I want to get my booty up into that other quadrant where I'm working on things that are important and not urgent. I don't need to waste my time on certain things. That really helped me even understand, like, I want a clean house. Guess what? I don't have anyone to delegate it to, but I can outsource. This is where we can get creative. We are resourceful humans. And if we truly want to work on moving ourselves forward and creating more time and space to work on our dreams and what we most want to accomplish, man, we got to be willing to be creative to get more of that time. So hiring cleaners to come in once in a while, once every 2 weeks, once every 5 weeks, whatever it is, right? I have a friend who hates doing laundry. So she found a service. She puts all of her dirty clothes out on the porch on a Monday. By Thursday, they are clean and folded, left there on her porch for her. Right? That's a way to get time back. So to ask yourself, what can I outsource? What doesn't require my expertise that I'm actually spending a lot of time doing? Delegate if possible. You might be in a position where you truly can delegate certain things. Always asking, does this require my expertise or not? Especially if you are a leader in an organization. You want to be in that other quadrant where you're working on things that are important, but not urgent. That higher level mission, vision, goals. So give yourself permission to delegate some of the things that you don't need to be doing. Otherwise, schedule time for those things, but not at the expense of the important stuff. So, and I have here, preferably when you're low on energy, not first thing in the morning. This is something to pay attention to. On our to-do list, it's really fun to tackle a lot of the things that don't take as much time. But our mental energy is not an infinite resource. It's finite. And when we are at our best, we need to focus on the things that require more mental energy, more time. And so to time block those important things in the morning and leave the other stuff for later when you are lower on energy, you can still cross those things off, but you're not wasting all of that on those easier tasks. Huge, huge game changer. And then we have the delete it. The delete it is the quadrant of waste. So this is the not important stuff, the not urgent stuff on our list. And sometimes it's not even on our list. It's just the stuff that we fill our time doing that really isn't helping us. It's the stuff that doesn't help us reach our goals. It can be the distractions or numbing, like scrolling endlessly on social media, watching TV shows we don't even really hardly care about, or even online shopping, right? Like some of those things, it just takes a lot of time. And when we are spending a lot of time in our urgent and important quadrant, spinning our wheels, busy, 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 we tend to want to spend some time here. And it's not that you can't rest and relax, certainly, but when we're doing it in mindless ways, we just end up feeling more tired, more unfulfilled. When we try to cope and handle a lot of our stress using a lot of the things that would be in that not urgent but important quadrant, like doing a yoga class, taking a walk, journaling, meditating, doing things that are truly uplifting, whew, game changer. So to even pay attention, like, where am I wasting some of my time? So, all right, great. So now what? So let's take you through the process then. This is where you brain dump all the things. Every item. You're combining your personal and your professional lives here. All of the tasks, all of the activities, all of the obligations, every to-do. You might already have a to-do list that you can refer to. Awesome. Add to it. Just what are all the things you're managing? And the reason we want to combine both personal and professional is because you are a whole, multifaceted human, and you do have finite levels of mental energy. And so to really get it all clearly spelled out in front of you so you can see, what do I have, where do I have some power here to create some space? So once you have all of those things on paper in front of you, you decide, so which tasks are urgent? Which ones are truly important? And a way to help you determine that is, if I don't do this thing in 5 years, is that going to impact me? In 10 years, how am I going to feel about it? You can really help yourself understand what is truly important, and you place them in their quadrants. You're reflecting on what can I schedule? Consider your AMs versus your PMs and physically get it into your calendar. What can be delegated or outsourced? I saw a comment, not everybody has financial means. Totally, right? Let's get creative. What are other ways that certain things can be delegated or outsourced? Do you have family members that could help? Do you have kids that you could maybe give more responsibility to? Who is in your corner to help you out? What can you let go of altogether? Are there any shoulds in there? Are there things that if you lowered your expectations around that truly aren't that important? If you lowered those expectations around, could you create more time and space to work on things that really matter? I mean, ultimately, this is about you claiming that you deserve that time, right? And you need to reflect then. Let a week go by, see how it's working. Make adjustments. When you're noticing, man, there's this one person that every week seems to give me things last minute that are urgent. And now I have to put all my effort into this thing. Then that's great awareness, right? Okay, you're making me be in my quadrant 1 and I don't want to be there. Now you get to decide what's within my power, what's within my control. How do I approach this conversation to see if we can maybe not always have that happening? What are some things that I'm doing to set myself up to be in that quadrant 1, right? And you reflect on it and you make adjustments as needed. What are my time sucks? What are the things that I'm spending a lot more time on that I didn't realize that maybe I could let go or minimize that time a little bit more? So that is the proactive approach. Not everybody's going to want to sit down and do that. And I totally understand that. There is a reactive approach. And I've used this too. I've used this both personally and with my clients. It is really helpful, especially as a starting point where maybe you're feeling really overwhelmed right now. This also comes in handy when life happens, when a crisis happens, and there are lots more things all of a sudden that you have to deal with. Pull this out. So the reactive mode, the way you do it, still do your brain dump, get all of the things on paper. You ask yourself, what do I have to complete immediately? You put those in that, do it first. What can wait? What's so helpful about that question, what can wait on this? You know, when we're really overwhelmed and we have all this stuff going on, we tend to repeat certain things in our mind, like, oh, and I have this to do, and I can't forget I got that, and I get, oh, and this, and this, and this, and we start repeating, and it makes it feel like there's so much more. When you get it on paper and you say, what can wait? And then you really do schedule it, you write it into your calendar, you put it in your electronic calendar. What that allows us to do is just set the mental weight of it down. If you think about it again, oh, I got to do, nope, I got this. I have it scheduled. I know when I'm going to do this. Set it down. In the delegate it box, who can help me out? Who's in my corner? And sometimes when we are really going through it, we're a little bit more willing to ask for help. Who are my people? And then the delete it. It'll be okay if I cross this one off. I'll give you an example. I was talking with a friend. It was over the holidays that she was dealing with some extra family issues. And there was a lot going on that was requiring a lot of mental energy and physical energy and time. And she made this comment like, I just wish I didn't have to go to these couple of holiday parties. And so we talked about that. You know, sometimes give yourself permission. It'll be okay if maybe this time I cross this one off the list. And learning how to practice strategically saying no to things that maybe aren't a priority or to other people's urgencies, especially when you don't have the time or the bandwidth. We all have to give ourselves permission for that. And so that can be in that delete it category. So both the proactive and the reactive modes can be highly, highly helpful just to manage all of this. One other thing, I've been trying to catch myself when I say, oh, I don't have time, or I didn't have time to, and then fill in the blank. Instead, I've been saying, I didn't make blah, blah, blah a priority. And that has been so eye-opening to me. And I've been doing that for a little bit. And then I came across this in the Wall Street Journal. So they wrote, instead of saying, I don't have time, try saying, it's not a priority, and see how that feels. Often that's a perfectly adequate explanation. I have time to iron my sheets. I just don't want to. But other things are harder. Try it. I'm not going to edit your resume, sweetie, because it's not a priority. I don't go to the doctor because my health is not a priority. And in my case, I'm not going to plan the family vacation because it's not a priority. Ugh. If these phrases don't sit well, that's the point. Changing our language reminds us that time is a choice. If we don't like how we're spending an hour, we can choose differently. So I want to leave you just with this question. Which dream are you going to work toward once you created some time and space? Thank you so much for being here with me today. Get in touch. May is Mental Health Month. If you're needing a speaker, you can contact me. And everybody who is here, I know sometimes health and exercise is something we want to prioritize. Everybody can have a free month, no credit card needed. You can scan that for more information, take a screenshot so you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate this. And I was taking notes, but one thing for the delegate, I have a little under one in my household. And so, you know, I would love to delegate certain things, but like I said, like finances are a little tricky, especially with littles. And so I have gotten really creative. And my sister lives in town and also has a little under one. And so we actually switch off who makes the meals. So every other week, I just make a big batch of meatballs or like little finger friendly meals. And so I make one week, my sister makes one that next. And so that kind of just like, not completely delegated, but kind of lightens the load. And little things like that, we've gotten pretty good at. And then also too, I've gotten really clear at asking for help, and specifically like also gifts. My friend is a graphic designer and she was like, oh, your baby's first birthday is coming up. What can I get him? And I was like, actually, if you could just help me make the invitation to the party, that would be great. And that's all I need for you for a gift. It took her 20 minutes. She's like, I'll do it over my lunch break. It would have taken, even to download the software was like a barrier for entry for me. So just little things like that, I have gotten really good at just delegating and like how to ask for help, what do gifts actually look like, what I love, kind of a new shiny little birthday gift for me. But honestly, if I can have like an IOU from an in-law to come make me a meal that I can just at any time. So I've gotten just kind of a little bit creative like that. That has been how I delegate. And then just getting really clear too with my partner and also like my friends, how we hang out looks a little different now. But that is just some of my key takeaways because that was a obstacle for me a couple months ago, and I really had to get creative on what delegating looks like. So I felt like I was just always making my little lunch. And it was taking on my whole Sundays and little things like that. And so who else has the similar pain points? And even if you can't completely delegate, but can you share the load where it's like you have a friend in a similar spot or ways to make it more enjoyable as well. Maybe you both, or maybe you have your own business and end of the month expenses are terrible. Can you meet with a friend at a coffee shop and just change it so it doesn't take as much of the mental load too? Just little things that I have been working on with my journey. So just wanted to share some of that because I saw some people in the chat and I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I was just a couple months ago. And so I'm by no means perfect. You could ask my partner and I'm sure he would share. But that was just some of my learnings. But thank you so much. Also, we talked about some financial literacy, like, some people want. Please check out our YouTube page. We have a lot of past events with like resources. And we just had a big finance boot camp. So if that is something that you're dreaming of and like maybe not making time for it, we have some great resources, especially from last February. But that just popped up. But thank you so much, everyone. And until next time, friends. And I will be sending an after event survey with this link to YouTube. It will just take me a little bit. So it'll be in your inbox by the end of the day. But bye, friends.
Thank you. Bye.